Struggling with budgeting, you're not alone. In fact, most people who try to stick to a budget fail within the first few months. Why? Because the way we've been taught to budget doesn't match the way real life works. Bills pop up out of nowhere, cravings kick in, unexpected events drain the wallet. And before you know it, the carefully built plan collapses like a house of cards. But here's the truth. It's not about willpower, it's about strategy. And once you understand the hidden traps, you lines finally see why your past attempts haven't worked and what you can do differently starting today. That's exactly what we'll uncover here on Wealth Unlocked, where we break down the secrets that the financial world rarely explains in plain words. Imagine this, you've decided to finally take control. You open a spreadsheet or download a flashy budgeting app. You set categories: groceries, rent, entertainment, savings. For a moment, it feels empowering, but then the first crack appears. Maybe a car repair throws your balance off. Maybe you underestimated how much you spend on coffee or takeout. The frustration builds, and slowly the budget feels less like a tool and more like a cage. You tell yourself you'll try again next month, but deep down, the motivation fades. Sound familiar? That's the cycle so many fall into, and it's the reason they quit. But here's the secret. The problem isn't you, it's the method. Traditional budgeting sets you up with rigid rules and unrealistic expectations. Life is unpredictable, yet these budgets assume every month will be the same. That mismatch leads to guilt, and guilt kills progress. What if instead of fighting against reality, your budget worked with it? What if your money plan had room for surprises, cravings, and flexibility without derailing your goals? Stay with me, because that's exactly what we'll build together. Think of budgeting not as a punishment, but as a map. When explorers ventured into unknown lands, they didn't walk blindly. They carried maps that allowed detours, shortcuts, and safe paths. A budget should work the same way. It's not about denying yourself, it's about knowing where you stand, where you want to go, and which paths will actually get you there. And here's the kicker. Most people never discover that there are 3 hidden levers in every successful budget. The ones that separate people who fail from those who quietly build wealth over time. We'll uncover them step by step, and by the end of this journey, you'll see budgeting in a way you've never experienced before. Before we dive into the first lever, let's clear one more misconception. Budgeting isn't about tracking every penny forever. That's exhausting and it doesn't last. Instead, it's about designing a system that feels natural, that almost runs on autopilot, and that doesn't make you feel deprived. Imagine the relief of opening your bank account and knowing every dollar already has a purpose without you spending hours stressing about receipts or calculations. That's where we're headed. Now, let's reveal the first lever, the one that instantly transforms how you see your money. It's called the safety net principle. Most people jump into budgeting without creating a buffer, a small pool of money set aside for the unexpected. Without this, every surprise expense feels like failure. With it, you glide over bumps instead of crashing into them. Think of it like shock absorbers in a car. Without them, the road is unbearable. With them, the same road feels smooth. This simple shift is why some people stick with their budgets and others abandon them within weeks, and that's only the beginning. The second lever, which I'll share next, is even more powerful because it changes not just your money, but your mindset. It flips the feeling of sacrifice into one of freedom. Once you learn it, you'll never look at your paycheck the same way again. Here's where things start to get exciting. You've already discovered the first lever, the safety net principle, but the second lever is the one that flips the entire budgeting experience upside down. Most people think a budget is about restrictions. Cut back here, stop spending there, and hope what's left over magically grows. But that's exactly why most fail. A budget that feels like punishment won't last. The second lever is about freedom, and it's called paying yourself first. Now, before you roll your eyes at a phrase you may have heard before, let me tell you why almost everyone gets this wrong. Paying yourself first isn't about transferring a random percentage into savings and hoping you won't touch it. It's about shifting the entire order of operations in your financial life. The truth is, most people pay bills, spend on wants, then cross their fingers that something's left for savings. But when you pay yourself first, you flip that script. You treat your savings, investments, and future as the first bill you must pay non-negotiable. Picture it this way: every dollar you earn is a soldier in your financial army. Most people send their strongest soldiers out to fight bills and consumer cravings, leaving scraps for their future. But the wealthy, they send their best soldiers to protect and build their legacy first. That's why their army grows stronger over time, while others wonder why they're always running out of resources. Here on Wealth Unlocked, this principle isn't just theory, it's a doorway to financial control most people never walk through. But there's a twist, and this is where the aha moment hits. Paying yourself first isn't about starving your lifestyle or feeling guilty when you want to enjoy life. It's about setting a realistic number, something small enough that it doesn't choke your spending, but big enough that it builds momentum. Think of it like lighting a fire. The spark doesn't need to be huge, but once it's lit, it grows hotter and stronger. For some, it's 5% of income. For others, it's 10%. The exact number doesn't matter at first, the habit does. Over time, the fire spreads, and suddenly you're not just saving, you're investing, compounding, and creating opportunities your past self never dreamed of. And here's where the curiosity gap comes in. What happens when unexpected bills show up? Won't you feel tempted to dip into that savings you've protected? The answer is yes, unless you've mastered the third lever, which is the glue that holds the whole system together. Without it, the safety net and paying yourself first eventually crack under pressure. With it, though, your budget becomes bulletproof. Before we dive into that secret, let's pause on a powerful story. Imagine a woman named Claire. She was a teacher, always struggling to keep up with expenses. For years, she tried budgeting apps and strict cash envelopes, but every time an emergency popped up, the plan collapsed. Then she discovered paying herself first. She started small, just $50 a month. It didn't seem like much, but she protected it like her life depended on it. Within a year, that $50 turned into $600. Within 3 years, she had built a $5,000 cushion. That cushion gave her confidence to start investing, and today, Claire no longer fears the unexpected, she embraces it. That's the transformation possible when you unlock this lever. And it's not reserved for the rich or disciplined few, it's for anyone who dares to flip the order. Still, without the third lever, most people eventually cave. And the third lever isn't what you think. It's not discipline, it's not cutting coffee, and it's definitely not another app. It's something deeper, almost psychological. Ready to find out? Here's the truth most gurus never say out loud. Money problems aren't really about money, they re about behavior. That's why the third lever is so powerful. It's called automation, but not just in the technical sense of auto transfers and scheduled payments. It's about removing willpower from the equation entirely. Because willpower fades, emotions fluctuate, but systems run whether you're motivated or not. And if your budget depends on daily self-control, it's only a matter of time before it collapses. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't debate every morning whether it's worth it, you just do it, because the habit is automated. The same is true with money. When you automate your savings, investments, and even bills, you take your fragile human emotions out of the driver's seat. And that's when budgeting stops feeling like a battle. On Wealth Unlocked, we believe financial freedom isn't built on heroic discipline, it's built on smart systems. Imagine setting up your bank so that the moment your paycheck arrives, a percentage automatically flows into savings, another portion into investments, and the rest into your spending account. You never see the money you've paid yourself, so there's no temptation to spend it. It feels invisible. And that invisibility is exactly what makes it powerful. The best part. After a few months, you stop missing the money because your lifestyle naturally adjusts to what's left. Suddenly, the guilt vanishes and your budget starts to run on autopilot. But let's go even deeper. Automation also protects you from emotional spending. Think about those days when stress pushes you to splurge on things you don't really need, or when boredom drives you into online shopping rabbit holes. If your money is already moved into protected accounts before those emotions hit, the damage is limited. You've safeguarded your future from your present impulses. That's how wealth quietly builds, by protecting yourself not from others, but from yourself. And there's another hidden bonus. Automation creates consistency. And consistency is the one ingredient that transforms small actions into massive results. A single drop of water doesn't carve a canyon, but steady drops over centuries form the Grand Canyon itself. Your financial canyon is carved the same way. Even if it's just $25 automated every month, the power lies in the rhythm. Over years, the small trickle becomes a powerful stream. Let me tell you about James, a young professional who once struggled to save anything. He'd set goals, but every month something urgent ate away at his good intentions. Then he set up automation, $100 into savings, $50 into investments, every payday. At first, it felt insignificant. But within 3 years, James had accumulated nearly $6,000 without ever trying. That cushion gave him confidence to tackle debt, and later, to start his own side business. James didn't succeed because he had superhuman discipline. He succeeded because he built a system that worked when he didn't want to. Now, combine the 3-lever safety net, paying yourself first, and automation, and you have a structure most people never unlock. But there's still one final layer, because even with these 3 levers, many people sabotage themselves through one hidden trap. It's the reason some earn more money than ever, yet still feel broke. It's the reason some households with 6-figure incomes constantly fight over bills. And once you uncover it, you lines see exactly why budgeting fails for so many and how you can succeed where they don't. Here's the final piece, the hidden trap that silently destroys most budgets. It's called lifestyle creep, and it's more dangerous than any unexpected bill or bad spending habit. Lifestyle creep happens when every raise, every bonus, every little increase in income gets swallowed by higher expenses. You move into a nicer apartment, upgrade your phone, eat out more often, and before you know it, you're earning more than ever but saving nothing. It feels like progress, but in reality, it's financial quicksand. This is why so many people say, if I just made more money, I'd finally get ahead. But then they do make more money and still feel behind. The trap is subtle because it feels natural to reward yourself as income grows. And here's the twist. Lifestyle creep doesn't just affect big purchases. It sneaks in through everyday habits, the extra streaming subscription, the daily delivery order, the slightly nicer car lease. Each choice feels small, but together they eat the wealth you could be building. So how do you fight it? Not by denying yourself joy, but by setting rules for growth. Here on Wealth Unlocked, we teach a simple but powerful principle. For every raise or bonus you receive, lock in a percentage toward your future before adjusting your lifestyle. For example, if you get a 10% raise, commit that at least half of it goes directly into savings, investments, or debt payoff. That way, you reward yourself with more comfort today while still protecting your tomorrow. Over time, this strategy creates a widening gap between what you earn and what you spend, and that gap is where wealth lives. Think of it like climbing a mountain. If every step up leads to more weight in your backpack, you'll always feel exhausted no matter how high you climb. But if you keep your pack light and only carry what matters, each step brings you closer to the summit with strength to spare. Lifestyle creep is that invisible weight, and escaping it is what allows ordinary people to turn consistent habits into extraordinary results. Let me share a story. Maria and Daniel, a couple in their mid-30s, both worked hard and climbed their careers. With each promotion, they upgraded nicer vacations, bigger house, luxury cars. From the outside, they looked successful. But inside, their savings account was nearly empty, and the stress of bills never left. One day, they shifted their mindset. Instead of letting every raise inflate their lifestyle, they decided to freeze their living expenses for a year and funnel all raises into investments. Within 5 years, they built a 6-figure portfolio. The cars, the vacations, they came later, but without stress because their foundation was secure. That's the secret most people miss. The real power of budgeting isn't about cutting lattes or clipping coupons. It's about creating a system that protects you from lifestyle creep, harnesses automation, prioritizes paying yourself first, and rides smoothly over life's unexpected bumps with a safety net. Do these 4 things together, and you've unlocked the path that separates those who constantly struggle from those who quietly build freedom. And here is the bonus insight I promised at the beginning. Once your budget works with you, not against you, something magical happens. Money stops being the source of stress and becomes the source of choice. Imagine waking up and deciding to change careers, start a business, or take a year off to travel, not because you won the lottery, but because your system gave you the power of flexibility. That's the true goal of budgeting. It's not just numbers on a page, it's unlocking freedom. So ask yourself, will you keep repeating the same cycle of failed budgets, or will you step into a new way of managing money? The choice is yours, and if you are ready to build a life where money serves you, not the other way around, then stay with Wealth Unlocked. Because this is just the beginning.